And I'm Avery Davidson. Thank you for joining us for This Week in Louisiana Agriculture. With Monday's presidential inauguration, it's a new era for America. 2025 started with a change in administration, but also started with renewed hope for farmers.
After repeated calls from Farm Bureau members, Congress passed a Farm Bill extension as well as a resolution providing supplemental and disaster assistance. Louisiana Farm Bureau President Richard Fontenot says he's excited for what 2025 can offer.
You know, Congress did a fantastic job this fall. The last day, last hour with the CR, we were able to secure some funding for agriculture. We had three different components to that. We had a disaster relief that covers some 23 and 24 disaster issues, funding in there, as well as a supplemental to go in for various commodities that are grown in the program crops. And then we did a Farm Bill extension. And we know the Farm Bill extension is not at the economic value that we'd like to see it with the production costs we have today. But we do think that extending it is still better than a permanent law, which we'd have to revert to if not passed. And I think we'll have an opportunity with the new Congress to go in and put some equitable numbers that our lenders can use for production in years to come for our producers in Louisiana.
While Louisiana farmers didn't get everything on their Christmas list, Congress did pass one of the largest aid packages of supplemental economic and disaster assistance for crop years 2023 and 2024.
Nearly $31 billion is on its way to help farmers across the country. TWILA's Carl Wiggers shows us how agriculture was one of the last industries standing.
As combines and cotton pickers started making the rounds and bringing in the 2024 crops, market prices had many farmers holding their breath. That's when they reached out to Louisiana Farm Bureau to help secure much-needed assistance from Washington, D.C., which came through with little time to spare.
It came down to a few hours, and thankfully we have a leader in Mike Johnson that was steering that ship and finally was able to put together a package that took care of agriculture, not to make anybody whole certainly, but was a huge help to our members and farmers and ranchers across the country.
We also took care of our farmers, many of whom were on the brink of collapse because of Bidenomics, frankly, because the inflationary cost of their inputs and the inability they have right now to get loans from the banks and the lenders to put their crops in the ground.
And it's really our grassroots strength that set us apart, and that's what we preach all the time, is what makes us different compared to all the other interest groups that beat on those doors in D.C. every day like we do. But what sets us apart is that we have farmers and ranchers showing up, making their voices heard.
In July, newly elected Louisiana Farm Bureau President Richard Fontenot made the first of many trips to the nation's capital. The purpose of these visits by Farm Bureau leadership was to tell Congress about the crisis agriculture is facing.
When you see the third most powerful man in the world reiterating the things that we've taken our president, Richard Fontenot, from his district and heard him say to the speaker and have the speaker repeat it, that just shows that we're really hitting the nail on the head and plugging in true farmers to have their voice heard.
With the change in administration and a new Congress, Brown is hopeful for a smooth transition at USDA so the agency can administer this relief in a timely manner.
That $10 billion in economic assistance, we're kind of calling that hopeful for planning time. And then, as we know, the natural disaster programs may take a little longer, maybe towards harvest. We really don't know.
There is still a real need for a new farm bill, and that is one thing Brown and Louisiana Farm Bureau is still working toward.
We're excited to celebrate this win, but we want to carry this momentum into the 119th Congress, accomplish a lot in the 118th, but there's always more work to do, and Farm Bureau is going to get after it.
For This Week in Louisiana Agriculture, I'm Carl Wiggers reporting.
Many farmers in Louisiana are grateful to see an extension added to the current farm bill, but there's more work to be done. With a new Congress and administration in place, the work is already underway to get a new farm bill in 2025 that has a proper safety net for farmers who continue to put food on our tables.
The USDA will open enrollment periods for some important safety net programs next week. Starting January 29th, producers can sign up for agriculture risk coverage, or ARC, price loss coverage, and dairy margin coverage. ARC and PLC provide protections for farmers whenever crop prices drop substantially, and DMC provides price support to offset milk and feed price differences. Well, despite being known as the seafood capital of the U.S., Louisiana's industry is not ironclad. A big reason for that is cheaper, lower quality imported food.
A new law in effect this year hopes to bring accountability to those who don't properly label imported goods. TWILA's Josh Meeks talked to one organization tracking down the source of your seafood.
Now, growing up a Louisiana boy, my favorite food was always fried shrimp. Po' boys, platters, salads, didn't matter, I had to have it. Farm Bureau taught me to always ask for local. But an upgrade to an existing state law means not only you won't have to ask anymore, but they'll actually go after the restaurants and distributors selling imported seafood, claiming it's from the Gulf.
We have 45 inspectors and supervisors covering all 64 parishes.
Starting January 20th, the Louisiana Department of Ag and Forestry will begin testing seafood for authenticity. That means if you say it's from the Gulf, it better be from the Gulf.
Well, I definitely think that we weren't worried about it because we've been doing that for a long time.
Dane Barbera manages Sammy's Grill on Highland Road in Baton Rouge. They've been a seafood staple in the capital city, serving up fried Gulf shrimp, fresh catfish, and delicious boiled crawfish.
The pride in getting Louisiana product is what we want to be on.
That's why the state passed Acts 148 and 667, which work together to ensure you're getting the seafood you're ordering. They require restaurants and distributors to label imported seafood as imported. Then the Department of Ag and Forestry will test that seafood to make sure it's labeled properly. If not, there's a hefty fine.
If the package of imported seafood is deemed misleading as to its origin, in other words, if it says Boudreaux's and it's got a picture of a Louisiana shrimp boat and Louisiana scene, then under the law it's got to have product of whatever country in 30 font on the front of the package.
For now, the Department of Ag will handle the testing, but a Southeast testing company, Seed Consulting, wants in. Founder David Williams says they can check shrimp origins faster and cheaper.
Our test takes approximately 2 hours. Other technology takes 4 days. Our test, the consumables per test are $22 per test, and the hardware is about $3,000, so it's really affordable, very, very practical, and very accurate.
Seed recently made headlines when they tested various restaurants in Baton Rouge. After sampling 24 restaurants, they found that 30% were improperly labeling their shrimp.
As of now, there has been no real studies in the shrimp industry as to what's going on and what's being served to the consumers on their plate.
Williams hopes as the seafood industry task force takes shape, Seed will have a seat at that table because he agrees local should be a matter of pride.
If we can get half of the restaurants that say they're serving Gulf shrimp along the Gulf Coast, that equates to about 100 million pounds of shrimp. And 100 million pounds of shrimp solves our shrimp industry.
Now, shrimp testing is readily available. Seed Consulting says that they hope to get crawfish testing off the ground in the near future. Reporting from Baton Rouge for This Week in Louisiana Agriculture, I'm Josh Meeks.
The Louisiana Department of Agriculture and Forestry will only be responsible for testing. They will not be responsible for enforcing penalties. Now, speaking of seafood, with the new year, we want to get a look at those early crawfish prices.
Now, it's only January, so things are a little high, but they're a far cry from what they were last year. In Lafayette, you can find some of the cheapest prices at Rouse's on Bertrand Drive. They have boiled for $7.29 a pound and live for $6.49 a pound.
Up north, the cheapest crawfish in Shreveport are at B&D Seafood. They're charging $10.75 a pound for boiled and $6.65 a pound for live.
And in the capital city, Winn-Dixie on Segan has the lowest prices. A pound of boiled will be $6.99, while a pound of live will be $5.99.
Now, make sure wherever you're getting your crawfish, do two things. One, check those prices before you go. You know, sometimes they can change at least every week. And also, make sure you're getting Louisiana crawfish, which is why the Louisiana Crawfish Promotion and Research Board reminds you to always ask before you eat. Sugarcane harvest wrapped up this month in Louisiana.
Last year's dry weather in the fall helped speed it along. This week, TWILA's Neil Melanson takes a look at the crop and what's in store for 2025.
The 2024 sugarcane season was a good one by most accounts. Farmer Mike Melanson says in his area, the crop was certainly better than the year before.
In general, it's a really good year. The weather cooperated most of the year. We got a little dry in September and October, which is usually a pretty good time. We got a lot of extra work done. We started off harvest with probably 5-6 weeks of dry weather, and surely helped us get a lot of fall work done that some years we're unable to do.
Despite the mostly dry season, a hurricane did impact some of the growing areas in Louisiana. American Sugarcane League President Jim Seymour says the crop bounced back quickly.
2024 was a fairly good crop for Louisiana's sugar industry. We started off the year with a very good growing season, and cane got up and moving pretty good in the spring and summer months. And then Hurricane Francine hit us, and it affected some of the growers in the southeastern portion of the sugarcane growing belt in Louisiana, kind of Donaldsonville and below through Thibodaux, Raceland. Some of those areas got impacted by Francine. But all in all, we had a pretty good crop. Sugarcane's so resilient. It's a tropical plant, and hurricanes are tropical weather.
Prices for sugar have dipped a bit to start the year. At the recent Ag Outlook Forum, LSU Ag Center economist Dr. Michael Diliberto told the crowd that sugarcane is facing some competition this year.
Given where USDA says the sugar beet crop, we're going to have a record beet crop come out of the Midwest, or what USDA is projecting for this fiscal year, I think certainly that's a factor. You had a pretty high amount of beet refined sugar that was on the market last year that's going to be carried into this year. So I think the beet industry is looking to regain some of the market share that it lost to refined cane sugar last year, mainly driven off supply issues. So from right now, I think the increases in supply would suggest that prices may weaken.
Even so, Diliberto says sugar is still in a good position in Louisiana.
Sugar had a really strong year in Louisiana, had a good harvest, a quick harvest, had some good weather. So I think sugar's in a good spot compared to some of the other crops moving forward into the new year.
And while sugarcane planting is still more than 6 months away, farmers will likely be planting more of it this year. Lawson says 2024 will be hard to beat.
Everyone was pretty happy with the crop. The mills were ran till January the 6th and 7th. The crop was overall statewide was probably one of our top 5. That's primarily due to extra acreage.
For This Week in Louisiana Agriculture, I'm Neil Lawson.
Louisiana saw a gain of 80,000 acres of sugarcane last year, which pushed total acreage to just above 1 million. While small increases are expected in the future, the crop area is limited by the plant's susceptibility to freezing temperatures.
Well, still to come on TWILA, we head somewhere where there's no freezing temperatures, the Caribbean, as Louisiana continues its work negotiating trade deals with Cuba.
Plus, conservation is a vital branch of agriculture. At its annual convention, we'll see what agencies are working to improve conservation in Louisiana.
You're watching This Week in Louisiana Agriculture, the only TV show bringing Louisiana farmers and consumers together every week.
The Louisiana Association of Conservation Districts is a nonprofit working tirelessly to protect the state's environment. At their annual convention last week, the theme was Conservation Partnerships Make It Happen. By bringing together organizations like the LSU Ag Center, the State Department of Ag and Forestry, they work to ensure things like watershed protection, nurturing soil health, and helping landowners with conservation projects.
I'm just so grateful for the Office of Soil and Water Conservation. Without them, I would not have been able to put this meeting together. They're fantastic. We do have a change in officer leadership this year, so I'm grateful to Mr. Ben Longlinay for working under him. One, this is an entirely new role for our state. He was wonderful to work with. I'm looking forward to working with our new president, Mr. Price Gay. It's just been, for no one having any know-how of how this was going to go, this has been a great experience and a great first meeting planning for me.
Courtney Giras is also on the Louisiana Farm Bureau's Young Farmers and Ranchers Committee. Shortly before he left office, former President Joe Biden took the first steps to remove Cuba from the list of countries that sponsor terrorism.
It's a move that came as part of a deal with the Vatican for Cuba to release political prisoners. A group of Louisiana agricultural leaders recently traveled to the island nation just 90 miles off the coast of Florida to establish a formal relationship and hopefully increase trade.
This open-air market in Havana, Cuba has all of the staples of the Cuban diet: fresh vegetables, yuca, and the most important one, arroz. You know it better as rice. For Louisiana Farm Bureau President Richard Fontenot and H. Rouse Caffey Rice Research Station Director Adam Famoso, rice is their life and livelihood.
You look at it, you got a lot of brokens in it.
Yeah. That's one of the reasons Louisiana Commissioner of Agriculture and Forestry, Dr. Mike Strain, organized this trip to Cuba, because rice is so important to the Cuban people, and Louisiana is a world leader in research and production. And that's where Cuba really needs help.
Their production of rice is less than 2,000 pounds per acre. Ours is, 8,000, 9,000 plus pounds per acre. So the soil here, this soil is good, but it's totally depleted. And so working together, we can help them more with self-sufficiency, but also we can get a better understanding what it takes to grow rice, in this latitude and in these particular soil conditions.
That's why Commissioner Strain and LSU Vice President for Agriculture, Dr. Matt Lee, are at the 28 de Enero farm just outside of Havana to sign a memorandum of understanding with the Cuban Ministry of Agriculture to work together to improve Cuba's rice production.
We're continuing to expand the LSU Ag Center's global impact. Here we're developing a relationship to help boost their ability to produce rice. Rice production is very important to the subsistence economy of Cuba, and Louisiana is one of the largest rice producing states in the country, and LSU Ag Center has one of the best rice research stations in the country, if not the world.
Cuban farmers struggle to grow rice effectively. In 2018, they grew 300,000 metric tons of rice on 346,000 acres. Last year, Cuban farmers produced only 140,000 metric tons, a decline of 58%.
They eat more rice per capita than any other country in the world. It'd be a fantastic trading partner for us on the rice industry. But they just need the resources, and they need to reciprocate trade to get those resources available.
To get those resources, private companies are sprouting up, like Supermarket 23. It's an online retailer where relatives in the United States can buy goods for their family in Cuba and have it delivered in days. It's a way to get money from outside the country into Cuba, which could then be used to buy rice from Louisiana. Louisiana House Ag Committee Chairman Troy Romero says the state is taking steps to make it easier to ship rice to Cuba should regulations allow for more trade.
We want to make sure that we're taking care of all of the rice producers in the state, not just one individual group. So, there is some work that's being done in Lake Charles at the port to be able to load rough rice and polished rice and send anywhere in the world, not just to Cuba. And we're hopeful that the rice industry will buy into that and understand that it's for the whole, it's not just for one group.
Representative Rhonda Butler says she's hopeful Louisiana will be able to increase trade with Cuba.
We need to meet more with our farmers and our people that are in that industry and work with our administration and show them, what they can do here. I mean, that's their business, that's their knowledge base, and I think that's what we need. We need to bring them in on the talks. It helps because we're hearing from administration, but the people that are doing the everyday work are our farmers. They understand it, and they know what it's going to take to move this forward. So that's what I would like to see happen on a state level.
No word yet on when researchers from Cuba will come to Louisiana. While the Memorandum of Understanding does include sharing of best practices for growing rice, it does not include sharing any of the genetics developed by LSU. Still to come on TWILA, we'll check in with Ag and Forestry Commissioner Dr. Mike Strain for a story that certified Louisiana.
Plus, amid the tragedy and destruction of the LA wildfires, a miraculous reunion.
About Leroy. Leroy, of course, is a special needs child. Just because he has a special need, that doesn't mean he can't do any special things. He's going to use his difference to make a difference. So that's what we want people to know about our little boy, Leroy.
Well, Leroy is a very special person. He is an autistic child that is really making great strides. He wants to, to help other people. He has found a way. When you have the support of your family, the support of your community, anything is possible. Tell me about Leroy's story.
This business didn't start out to be a business. We actually were looking for something for Leroy to do because he didn't like people, didn't like sports. We didn't realize he was autistic at the time.
Right.
And we found out about Lemonade Day. And we said, you know what? Let's just teach Leroy how to give back, because giving back does make people feel good. We did a lemonade stand on Lemonade Day in front of our house. He was 5.5 years old. And at the end of the day, he took his money to Children's Hospital.
Yes.
He loved it.
And now it's grown exponentially?
Oh my God, yes. We are in Tiger Stadium. They gave us our big break in the beginning. That's where we got our big break.
That's
they
wonderful.
asked us to come there. We are in over 40 stores, local grocery stores.
And certified Louisiana.
Certified Louisiana. When we found out about Certified Louisiana, I knew we had to be a part because we are a Louisiana brand. We're a Louisiana product. People buy products when they see the Certified Louisiana label.
Right. We tell them to buy fresh, buy local, buy Certified Louisiana, and look for the label, look for the logo.
That's it.
And that's wonderful. That's a very good, and thank you for telling me that.
So we are in every local store. Leroy loves it. He meets all of the owners, all of the managers. He knows where his lemonade is in every store. You can drop him in a store by himself and he will go straight to the shelves where his lemonade is. Our lemonade is
May I look at that?
fresh.
May I see that?
Yes, would you like to taste it?
Absolutely.
Our lemonade is
It's
made
ready to
fresh.
go?
It's ready to go.
Certified Louisiana?
Certified Louisiana.
Leroy's Lip Smacking Lemonade. Let's try that.
Now I'm gonna warn you. It's lip smacking good. Everybody knows. It's lip smacking good.
It is. Wow, that is good. Congratulations, Leroy.
You're number one, Leroy?
Number one.
That's right. What's the name of your lemonade? Lemonade.
Yeah, hey. Very good.
Leroy will never be treated any different than anyone else. We want to be the brand that speaks out for people like Leroy.
We are very honored and excited to have Leroy's Lip Smacking Lemonade as a member of our certified Louisiana family. Certified Louisiana's Crawfish Tales with Commissioner Mike Strain was brought to you by the Louisiana Department of Agriculture and Forestry Certified Louisiana Program. For information about the Certified Louisiana, Certified Cajun, Certified Creole, Certified Craft Beverage, and the Certified Farm to Table Logo Program, visit certifiedlouisiana.org or ldaf.la.gov. Support Louisiana families. Look for Certified Louisiana logos at your favorite grocery, restaurant, or farmer's market. Buy Louisiana. It's the way to grow.
The Los Angeles wildfires, as well as those burning in surrounding areas in Southern California, destroyed hundreds of homes, disrupting thousands of livelihoods.
Because of quick evacuations, the fire separated many people from their animals. But there have been some heartfelt reunions as well.
Hi, honey. Hi, baby. The firemen have been feeding you. How did you guys survive? Thank you, God. Thank you, God. I'll come tomorrow and get you guys out of here, okay?
The woman in the video, known only as Vanessa, captured the moment she reunited with her lost sheep. A touching moment for her after she probably lost nearly everything she owned in the fires. Good to see something nice happen at the end of it.
That is very true. Well, that does it for this edition of TWILA. Be sure to join us next week when we'll take a closer look at how this year's crawfish season is shaping up compared to last year.
Until then, you can watch all of our stories online at twilatv.org. Be sure to like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, Instagram. You can also find all of these stories and more on our YouTube channel. Be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you know when we put something new out there.
For all of us here at TWILA, thanks for joining us. We hope to see you again right here next week.